I'm Susan Gadd. I'm the Manager of Academic Operations in Learning and Teaching Services. I have on screen with me Joy Jenkins, who's one of our Academic Operations officers on Cairns campus. Now, the intention of this particular session is to provide you guys as unit coordinators with details on just those key operational activities and the tasks and the systems that you will encounter in your role as unit coordinator. We also touch on your areas of responsibility, and we give you a little bit of additional information on the key policies and procedures that you need to be aware of just to make sure that you're both remaining compliant and also just communicating that information out correctly. Now, the information provided in this program, this Launch into Learning and Teaching program, it has been developed in conjunction with our Launch into Learning and Teaching StaffNet site, which is in the professional development area of our Learning and Teaching and Services StaffNet. So on screen you should see just our Learning and Teaching Services StaffNet site. On the right-hand side, nice and easy, takes you to professional development. On the left-hand side here, big heading, Launch into Learning and Teaching, and then we've got it broken down into all the different sessions just to make it nice and easy for you to navigate to. So I'm just going to take you now into the part 3, which is the unit coordinator, which is what we're going through today. So as the unit coordinator, you are responsible to, to oversee the administration and the delivery of the academic units across all of the different delivery sites. That's your pre-term planning stuff, which most of it will be done, I'm assuming, by now. We're kind of a week out. Oh, is it even less than that? Couple of weeks out from commencement of term, making sure that your academic teams are motivated and that they're delivering their teaching and their assessment just to that consistent high quality and standard, just to be involved in the moderation of assessments across the different campuses, and just to really encourage your academic teams to engage with their students and their involvement in student results and just all of that. So straight off the bat, we'll go into the operational activities section of the website. And in here we talk about key systems. So these are the key systems that you as a unit coordinator will be involved in. And the integration of each of these systems is there to kind of provide a fairly efficient processing of the academic and the student information, and also provide you with kind of sufficient time frames for those tasks as a unit coordinator. So you probably have already, because I know unit profiles went out on Monday, so some of this information, had we had the opportunity, would have been useful earlier, but you will have a lot of contact with the AIM system. It really is our one true source for academic information, and it feeds into all of those other systems, the handbook and Moodle, and there's a kind of backward and forward between it and Student One, of course, when it comes to the offerings and the scheduling. In AIMS, it's got all your information about your unit and course proposals, your unit profiles, contains all of your examinations, your textbook info, those reviews that you need to do annually and 5 yearly. It's also in AIMS where you manage your teaching roles. So I will quickly pop into AIMS, and I would usually have this all ready to go. Just to quickly touch on the tasks. There we go. So I've got a couple of dummy tasks set up here against me because I don't really have any real ones in my role. But as you can see on the right-hand side, mine are all sitting in urgent because they're just dummy ones from ages ago. You've got your different areas where it will highlight for you the tasks that you are required to be involved in. So all tasks and their associated timelines are available in AIMS. If you've got any due or urgent tasks, they will be very clearly displayed down here at the bottom of your task section. So we really do urge you to log into AIMS every day just to check these. On the left-hand side, there are a list of notifications. Now, I can't stress this enough how important it is to remain across these notifications as a kind of, and that's just because the AIMS team, they're always working on new stuff. AIMS is evolving all the time, and we just want to find a way of making sure you guys are kind of kept informed about these improvements or any of the changes. So between the notifications and then on the left-hand side, you've got your frequently asked questions. Hopefully, most of the information that you need to use the system are contained across one of those. So a really perfect example is very recently there was a notification about how you can opt in or out of being sent an email notification for the tasks that you are responsible for. Now, if I go into this, so email reminder trail, so there's a little bit of information in here about it, but basically this was a trial that was run to identify the use of those notifications, and now you have the option to set it up yourself if you're not already aware of this. I would certainly recommend it. Unless you are going to religiously go into AIMS every day and check what you need to do. This is a real good kind of fail-safe mechanism. So as you can see here, you can either have just notifications or notifications and reminders. So the notification, hey, this task is open or available, or this task is due, and then the reminders to kind of go, just a reminder that it's due on this particular date. So that was a really new, useful one that they have updated recently. With your AIMS tasks, I will go back up. They really do need to be actioned by those due dates. We run reports, the PVC runs reports, I think the schools do as well, just to make sure these deadlines are being met. And that's, it's really key because generally we have published when these activities will take place. So we like to make sure that we meet those dates. Now, another really useful tool in AIMS, and I'll just shrink that back up. On the right-hand side here, you've got an AIMS timeline. Just nice and simple. Only shows you the immediate future. Sorry, put my teeth back in. The immediate future of tasks that need to be done. Now, they're on the left-hand side as well. We've got in place lots of different mechanisms depending on how you work. We've got the significant dates link, and that will take you through to that kind of Excel-y type Word document. I would recommend printing that and popping it on the wall. But in addition to that as well, there's also the AIMS calendar. Now, if you go into yours probably looks very, very busy. If I just quickly do just a few of these. Save that, close that. Oh, obviously didn't include some of these things. But you can go in and customize it so you only see what you want to see in that actual view. Like uni dates and significant dates are really the main ones, and potentially committee dates if you're interested are really the main ones to set up on that particular screen. So I will go back in here again. So the AIMS information systems area here, it just gives you some more details about those AIMS tasks for unit coordinators and the time frames required. So we've got the unit profile, just lets you know how long you've got to do that, although we do have to update that. I do believe that there has been another change where that's open much earlier, so you guys can start working on it earlier. There's your textbook and lab software, Moodle readiness, exams, all the rest of it, any information in the time frames. And also we've embedded some tips in here, like how to do your unit profile rollover, just to try and make it nice and simple that you can follow a process. We've got links to policies and procedures to frequently asked questions. I won't go into too much detail about unit profile because they're kind of done now. as are, many of these tasks are teaching allocations, etc. We've got some information about your annual unit evaluation reports. There's also a great guide, which we've linked to here, on how to complete that. And then at the bottom, if you are involved in unit and course proposals, either brand new ones or changes, we've also got some information and instruction here on how to do those. But they're fairly straightforward. You've got the lovely, cup of coffee, sit down, have a cup of coffee and start your proposal button, and the rest is just a wizard that kind of steps you through what you need to do. I will just mention to be aware of the committee meeting schedules when you are doing your proposals, just to make sure that you're able to submit those in time to make your actual deadline. So, work out what term you want this to be done for, and then work out your dates going backward for your education committee and your school committees and anywhere else that you need to put your proposals through to. Okay, so we will flick back. And the next section that I talk about is Moodle, which I'm sure you guys, if you aren't already very familiar with that, you will be soon enough. The setup of your Moodle site is one of your key tasks. Now, I believe they were all done a week ago. But it can be really quite a complicated kind of process. And that depends on, I'm moving on to the gradebook, this section here. So setting up the gradebook, and you're probably at around that point now, it can be quite a complex task depending on how your assessment is set up. But it is really important to make sure that it's calculating and displaying grades and the results correctly. We do offer Learning and Teaching Services, offers those professional development sessions on the gradebook setup, which have been running over the last couple of weeks. So hopefully we've got some new ones coming up soon. Oh yeah, keep an eye out for the Term 1 2018 PD sessions. Because that's what they're there to do. They're there to kind of guide you on best practice, but also to answer any of your questions if you've got any issues. I talk here briefly about Feedback Studio. If you're not already, perhaps consider using Feedback Studio as a marking tool. It just enables, the online marking of assessment items. There is a bit of a setup initially when it comes to setting up your marking rubric in the system and making sure the criteria is correct. But everyone that I've talked to who uses this tool raves about it and says that it's brilliant. So I can just pass that information on and leave you to decide whether or not you want to do it. Turnitin is another system that you should be very familiar with. And just to jump in and just mention, it literally is a word matching tool. It will go, these words here have also been found here. It's not there to identify academic misconduct for you, but it's kind of helps out a little bit as far as giving you that extra bit of information to do some further investigations or analyses of the actual assessment. We do also run Turnitin sessions. I don't know the schedule off the top of my head, but keep an eye out for those. We've also got lots and lots of resources available. On the left-hand side of every Moodle page is the Moodle Help for Staff. Pop onto that site. Lots of different little guides and tips and bits of information about your how to set up your Moodle sites and the rest of it. And we've also got Lisa Reynolds, who is our Learning and Teaching Services expert in Moodle. She runs great sessions, but she's also there to help you with more ad hoc type questions.
Susan, Joy here. If I can just jump in, the Moodle surgery hour today was excellent, and Lisa went through all those step-by-step processes of doing exactly what you just mentioned. So don't forget, the surgery hour can be for whatever issue you have at that particular time.
Excellent. Thank you, Joy. Yeah, they are really very useful, and she's really very good with the system. Okay, so next is the student operational activities. So that includes things like the assessment extensions, academic misconduct and student behaviour. It just gives you, this section of the website just gives you a little bit more information. It links you off to the policy so you can understand it, but it also just does some kind of key facts, like the fact that as a unit coordinator, you can only approve extensions up to 14 days, and anything more than that goes to your DDL&T via your Learning and Teaching Services Officer for assessment. I will just mention at this point, because you guys are solely responsible for these sub 14 days, when you are receiving these requests through the system, if you feel as though something's a bit hinky or you're not sure about the documentation, if it's compliant, if it's legitimate, you are in a position to potentially check on that yourself. If you've got any concerns, you can also talk to your LTSO, and if the documents are found to be fraudulent, and sadly, I'm not going to say quite often, but there are occurrences where it does happen. From there, the student would proceed to academic misconduct, and you would need to raise a case around that, and we would deal with that through academic misconduct, because they are trying to obtain academic advantage through that misconduct. So then moving on to academic misconduct, all academic staff have access to raise an academic misconduct case. I'll just go into, come on, internet, nice. So, that's just a quick link on your left-hand side in your staff help block. Everyone would have academic misconduct as a link, and that's just a bit of a screenshot of the first part that you will actually see when you go in there. You'd put in the student number. It does need to be the student 1 student number, so we also have a link to the student ID converter if you've only got the S number out of your Moodle case. Then you would convert that to the student 1 number, and then it would all get recorded through that. Now the process itself, you guys raise it, it comes to the LTSOs, they will send a communication to the student called an invitation to respond, outlining the allegation and giving them a chance to explain how that happened. The unit coordinator does get copied in on that communication, and then from there as well, the unit coordinator gets copied in on the outcome. We are currently literally on the verge of providing both the submitter and the unit coordinators with a dashboard, again through AIMS. It'll be another link on your AIMS homepage where you can go in, and any students that you're either the submitter for or the unit coordinator for, it just gives you a little bit of a snapshot of where those the status of those cases, where they're at, whether they're with the DDL&T, whether the outcome has been finalised, just in case students are inquiring with you. And we are quite strict on the timelines. Students have 5 days to respond to those invitations to respond. If they don't respond, we just move forward with the allegation as is. If they do respond, that information goes to the DDL&T, and they use that as part of the information to make those decisions. Student behaviour, misconduct, that's all managed completely through Kylie White and governance. There's a link to the policy and procedure, but essentially, any type of bad behaviour, offensive marks, offensive behaviour, being intimidating, being threatening, being abusive, any type of bullying or aggression, but that is dealt with through student governance. It's quite a different process. But if you're not sure, talk to your head, of course, or your DDL&T about the student's behaviour. Okay, sorry, back here, and I realise I've really only got 5 minutes left. So back to the unit coordinator homepage. Look, we've got some key resources in here for you. because so there's the unit coordinator duty statement, just to give you a bit more of an idea of what is included in your position. There's the Great Guide for Unit Coordinators, which expands on that even further, gives you some, tips and guides around curriculum design and important systems and information, just another place for you to get lots of useful information. There's the moderation of assessment procedures to help when, if you are in a position or coordinating a unit that requires moderation. And then in addition to that as well, there are loads of, through our StaffNet site and then through our old Moodle Learning and Teaching Services Moodle site, there's lots of tips and guides and resources all there to help staff with the various tasks. Okay, so I'm just going to go back one more. Now the unit and course development, look, I touched on that briefly earlier on. I won't talk too much about it. This is just a great page for you to go to. It links you to the higher education standards, the AQF, our own internal policies, the education qualification policy and procedure. Talks to you about all the different committees, just gives you some really useful information if you are developing new or updating current courses and units. Okay, so then you think you've done enough by then? End of term rocks around. Unit coordinators play a huge part in end of term. I'm sure if you've been a unit coordinator before, you'd be very aware of this. This page is to kind of help you out and step you through some of those activities that you will be involved in, some resources around, the unit coordinator report you need to provide for the end of term grades finalisation, school course committee meetings, and again just some more information on AEs if you are required to do that within that term. Just on end of term stuff, there's a lot of responsibility on unit coordinators, and it's up to you to make sure that all of the students' grades have been checked individually for correctness. Coordinate your teaching teams, letting them know exactly what it is you do or don't want them to be involved in at that point. Same being said back for academic misconduct. It's up to you to determine. We have some unit coordinators who they just want their teaching teams to talk to them about the misconduct first before raising it. Some of them like to just raise all the cases themselves and leave their teaching team out of it. But just have a chat to your teaching teams about how you want them to approach that. Unit coordinators, there's the couple of reports that you need to submit as well. Now, I'm just going to link back here again. There's the email that I sent around just on Monday, which gives you information about how to wrap up the term. You would have perhaps seen that for term 3. I'll do the same at the end of term 1. Just provides you with links and guides and all that information you need to do to wrap it up. Okay, a couple of last bits. Student feedback, that's the big red button. Red at the moment, I know it's been talked about. Really important. The data that we receive as a result of these unit evaluations is so valuable, and we really want to encourage you guys to encourage your students as much as possible. There is a link somewhere on here that we run PD sessions on how to increase your evaluation, like your students' engagement with those end of term evaluations, but we really do kind of promote those. And what was the other? And then we've got the student feedback. And then that's just a little bit of information on all the different types of surveys and evaluations that we are involved in at CQ University. So there's our unit evals, but there's also all the government ones that, quality indicators for learning and teaching services, graduate outcomes, employee satisfaction, etc. So just a little bit of information on there and a key contact if you do have any questions about that. Wow, that's the quickest I have ever gotten through that. So I just want to mention at this point, if in addition to being a new coordinator, you're also new to CQ University and you are involved in, the lecturing as well, we do run the 3 other Launch into Learning and Teaching sessions. There's the intro, there's a slightly more detailed part 2, and then there's one specifically around lecturers. We do those separately, and then I do the full program late in the afternoons twice each term as well. So if you are able to, I just give you a bit more background in those. I explain more about what learning and teaching services do, who your key contacts are, other student services available for yourselves as academics as well. So there's just some really good information, and we try to get in and get them done quickly, hit that 30-minute mark so we're not holding you up for too long. So I will just go back to the Launch into Learning and Teaching homepage. But again, if you can't attend, pretty much everything that I talk about is available on our website here. But I do, like engaging with you guys and giving you the opportunity to, ask questions as well. So just a few key tips that I'd like to kind of throw on at the end. Just a reminder about checking aims regularly or setting up those notifications just to make sure you meet those very specific timeframes. Keep the list of tasks and due dates in a handy location, that significant dates document. Print that off and keep that nearby. It's very useful. Use our LTS StaffNet site for guidance and resources and how to complete various tasks. Be aware of the different policies that support and guide your unit of coordinator activities. That can be the higher education, standards framework, moderation, misconduct, assessment policy and procedure. Talk to your teaching teams, make sure they're really clear on what you expect from them. And what they should be involved in. We offer that range of professional development sessions every term around Moodle, around gradebook, around grades, aims, misconduct. Please get to those. Again, we try to provide them in a just-in-time fashion, so no point in me talking to you in week 2 about how to finalise grades. We do those in kind of week 11 and week 12. Same with assessment extensions. We know most of them start coming in at around week 4, so that's when we run those sessions. Usually around week 6, you're doing your marking, so we run the misconduct sessions around that time. So yeah, just keep an eye out for those. They're all through the staff train emails now, but I generally send a little reminder for mine every now and then. So also just to add on, within academic operations, we have myself here in Rockhampton, we've got Joy on Cairns, Sarah on Townsville, Nandita and Christy on Brisbane, RJ and Linda on Sydney, Harita and Jordan on Melbourne campuses. Now, just because those guys, if you're not on one of those campuses, just because they're not on that campus doesn't mean you can't contact them. You can contact any of the academic operations team and they will be more than happy to help you out. If you are lucky to be on one of those campuses where we do have staff, go and have a chat, introduce yourself if they haven't already done that, and work out what they can do to help you. That really is what we are here to do. We understand your roles are busy, you've got lots going on, and when it comes to the operational tasks and activities that you need to do as part of your role, we want to be able to, help and support you guys as much as possible so you can focus your energies on teaching and the student experience itself. And that's me done. 35, hopefully not too bad, and apologies again for being late. Now I'm trying to get into chat. No, just a couple of hellos. So any questions at this point? I see a waving hand somewhere. No, not waving at me. And if not, I will leave you all to your day.
No. Hello, sorry Susan. It's Leonie and Kynwyn in Rockhampton, York. And we're just trying to follow you. Thank you very much for that information. So if you wouldn't mind just going back to the StaffNet, we've followed you in StaffNet, our uni and departments and learning and teaching, but we just can't find that part 3.
It goes from unit coordinator.
Yep, just into professional development. Then on the left is the launch into learning and teaching.
Important links.
And right at the bottom here, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse on the screen.
Oh, yes.
Part 3, unit coordinator, and then that takes you in.
Right.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you.
You're so welcome. But yeah, if you don't have any questions now, that's fine, but don't hold back if you've got any going forward. Contact myself or any of my team. But thank you all so much for attending. I really do hope it was helpful. We will be sending out our feedback link once all the sessions are done towards the second, third week of term, and would appreciate it. I'm running these sessions to help you guys. So if it's not being helpful, please tell me if there's anything you want added or taken out. Really open to the feedback. But